Maybe their alarm just went off and they have to, get up again this morning and go to their 9 to 5 that they can't stand, working for the boss that they can't stand. And they're looking for something to supplement that. They're looking for a way to get out of that rat racing grind every day. That's why we're here.
I'm going to double my money. This is a business model that works. Hi. I mean, we're here.
We're here. We made it. It's episode 1, Freedom and Wealth podcast. Welcome in. Welcome for the ride along. It's been a bit of a hiatus. We took a bit of a break to do some construction.
What people don't understand is this is like the 4th or 5th version
already.
Of this podcast room, including the table.
Already. But we're getting there. We're getting there. No. This is a brand new start.
Really nice.
It's the top of the line everything, including the desk. I mean, we put the desk together essentially overnight, and it came out looking like it came from
we have a great team,
the most expensive furniture store on the planet. But let's give everyone watching a little bit of an introduction here as to what they can expect. I mean, welcome back to anyone that was watching us in the original podcast. This is going to be a totally new start. This is going to be from scratch. We're going to cover more topics, wider, go deeper into individual topics, less technical stuff, less about trading, more about life in general, hence freedom and wealth, what everybody wants.
Yeah, more, relatable. We'll talk about the grind. We'll talk about trading. We'll talk about life. We'll talk about freedom and wealth. And I mean, that's the whole point of what we're trying to do, reach out, talk to more people, and discuss some very important topics that essentially we discuss all the time amongst ourselves. Let's talk about it with everybody.
Yeah.
The podcast is going to be really hype. I mean, you talked about this table. We came in here, and it's funny that we're talking about freedom and wealth. The individual that built this, I was like, you know what you should be doing? Side hustle.
Right?
I'm like, forget about the 9 to 5. What are you doing working here?
I know.
Well, I mean, we still want him to work here. But I'm like, put something, this table is sweet.
He literally came to my desk and was like, table's done. And I walked in this room. And
I know. I thought it was like a Williams-Sonoma thing.
Easy.
And then, so basically, I'm already trying to contract him out to build something for myself.
Oh, yeah.
Because I need some little wood tables done in my place, a little bench action going on. But that's part of it, right?
Yeah, man.
It's find something, and he's like, I like doing it. And so it's like, find something that you like to do.
Definitely.
And I was like, isn't that ironic that as we build this Freedom and Wealth podcast, we're in here talking about making a little bit more wealth on the side, doing something you like to do.
Exactly.
And I think that's a perfect example. So actually,
all right. We are just outside. For anyone who has seen us on the live show, for anyone that's seen the live stream on YouTube, every single day the market's open. Come join us on YouTube, FYI. We are just outside of the trading floor.
Mm-hmm.
So we took over. We said that room is now ours. And
poor guys, they used to have a TV in here and some video.
I know.
Games,
they used to have a PlayStation.
After you're trading, you're all stressed out. You come have a nap.
Yeah.
Now it's locked.
No longer.
Now we have a lock on the doors, all soundproof.
This is like a safe in here. The amount of soundproofing it's
unbelievable. And then we got to work on ventilation.
I know it's a touch on the warm side.
It's good. It's nice.
Details.
Oh, we talked about putting stuff on the wall.
You know where I heard
so much stuff gonna.
It's hot right now.
Puerto Rico.
I
feel like if you're gonna talk about freedom and wealth, you want to look at tax advantages as well. I mean,
we can maybe do an entire episode on how to get around paying so much time.
Yeah. Well, I know one way of doing it. Maybe not living in Toronto, potentially.
That's a whole episode in itself as well. Quick background for anyone who is watching for the very first time. Hi, we're traders, but we're going to touch on a whole wide range of topics outside of that. Get into how to build an investment account, how to build a real estate portfolio, different ideas on how everyone who's watching that, maybe their alarm just went off and they have to, get up again this morning and go to their 9 to 5 that they can't stand, working for the boss that they can't stand. And they're looking for something to supplement that. They're looking for a way to get out of that rat race and grind every day. That's why we're here.
I talk about realistic things too. You know, this is not like, oh, just open up a social media account, get 3 million followers and get paid to advertise something. No, I mean, this is like real life asset management. You talked about real estate. I think we're going to be hitting on a couple of those points as well.
Yep.
We're going to talk today about characteristics, you know, how you can get into that mind frame, mindset, just things like that. Like that's the kind of stuff that we're talking about. And then it has to be up to the individual themselves. And I know we're going to get into this, but it all comes from within. So these are ideas, stuff that we're going to talk about. Obviously, you know, management strategies, portfolio ideas that you and I are doing in our real life, talking about different buys and sells, real estate opportunities, leveraging some of the interest rates and things like that. So credit card bills, how can you manage those? And then, yeah, you're exactly right. Let's get out of that grind. Let's get to a point where we have a little bit of that freedom. And it does come from, you know, wealth management and wealth building.
Yeah.
I think that with portfolios, you can have many things in there. Even crypto, the way crypto's moving around now, it's been pretty consistent. We'll talk about some of that leveraging. And then obviously just taking, you have kids, we'll talk about that. Real estate, rentals, property management, you know, doing things you like to do on the side, finding your passion. I think that's important.
And building wealth from that. From a trading standpoint, I think it's a perfect example of something that, you know, you don't even have to get into on a full-time basis.
Right.
You can have a job and see how, you know, understand how the market works, do your research, do your education to get to a point where maybe you have a little bit of money coming in. Mm-hmm. And I think it's probably a good place to start from the trading standpoint of trading itself. And there seems to be this like stigma around day trading. The term day trading has almost turned into like a 4-letter word, for lack of a better term, over the past, I mean, it has, right? Like, you know, you meet someone in a bar or you meet someone just wherever out on the street and you ask them what they do and they're like, oh, I'm a day trader. Yeah. Your initial reaction is always like, ugh. Another.
I don't know.
Well, I think that there's a bit of a stigma around that. But my point is, trading doesn't have to be intraday. Mm-hmm. Trading in general is simply the act of buying something at its current value with the hope and the aim of them being able to sell it at a higher value down the road. That can cover any time frame whatsoever. So from a broad standpoint, I think it's a good place to start in defining trading is not necessarily something you do between 9:30 when the market opens and 4 p.m.
I mean, there's different trading strategies and different methods to trading, right? And so I think that the one thing that you want to be able to do is pick your time, pick your spots, be able to trust what you're doing. And yeah, trading can be something where we put something on Monday morning and you come back and you look at it Wednesday, see how it's doing. Then you maybe look at it Friday while you're on your breaks. You try to figure out when's the best time to buy and sell shares and what exactly am I doing and why am I doing it?
Yeah.
There's trades like we'll make where you're buying and selling a couple times throughout the day. You have to be in front of a computer and that's going to take a little more time. But if you're just looking for basic strategies, I think especially coming through 2024, I mean, look at the year that we've had so far. There's individual names up huge. The market's up huge. This has been a great opportunity to sit around and throw some of this money that we have potentially on the sidelines into the stock market and pick and choose some names that make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And you can buy and sell throughout the day. You can figure it out. But at the end of the day, it's a great opportunity to start to build some wealth. And you have to start now. And that's what we're going to talk about.
All right. So if somebody is watching this and saying, sounds kind of cool. I didn't even know that.
Maybe it sounds too easy. You know, you buy something low and sell something high.
It's a great point. And I don't want to sit here and say, you know, everybody should be trading because it's really, really challenging at times. And we'll get into that. But if somebody's sitting here saying or watching and saying, that sounds kind of interesting. How can I understand a little bit more about the market, not necessarily on a very, very tight short time frame, but maybe on an investing standpoint and get my feet wet? You know, let's talk maybe a little bit about who that person is first.
Right.
And then we'll get into, you know, how to go about doing that.
So I think you have to get into the mindset and eliminate two major things, and that is fear and greed. because you can't have either one of those characteristics. Because if you're fearful that everything you put into the market you're going to lose, first of all, that's very incorrect, and we'll discuss that. And you can't be the same person that says, I'm going to double my money. All right, this is not a casino where you go in there and it's me versus you, Brendo. You're the dealer. I got 21 in your face. Double my bet. You know what I mean? Like, that's not what's happening. What we're talking about for trading, to make a living and to make a little bit of side money on it, you have to be very, very disciplined.
Yeah.
And you have to throw out that, oh my God, I can't, this is going to be wrong. What do I do if this is wrong? What do I do if it's right? It's about having a plan of action and sticking to that.
Yeah.
And how to get started is to eliminate some of those characteristics. Do not be afraid to open up that account and start to trade.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, do not make 10, 15%, and we'll talk about timeframes, and say that's not enough. I want more. I want more. You can, what we're trying to do is build, right? It's like the saying that Rome wasn't built in a day.
Yeah.
It really is true of many, many things. You have to look at trading as you're starting a small business.
Exactly.
And this is something that, hey, we're going to start with. We're going to look into it. We're going to research. We're going to listen to great podcasts. And we're going to find out what is the right method to start. How do we start? How much money do maybe we invest with? And where do we go from there? So, I mean, do we want to get into that kind of stuff immediately?
Well,
or
let's talk a little bit about, and you made a great point in that, you know, it's something that people almost go into not even fully understanding what they don't know.
Right.
And that in itself is a challenge to actually make that first step. So you said, you know, do the first step. Go to your bank.
Mm-hmm.
Most banks have trading accounts that you can open of some sort these days. If not, there's endless amounts of free ways to access the market.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Robinhood, Wealthsimple, whatever.
So many ways.
Name your not sponsored by this or not sponsoring this podcast platform yet.
Yeah, soon. Shout out to Robinhood.
But the key is just do it. Go and take that first step and open the account.
Trading is like a lifelong journey. So you have to start somewhere. So no matter what your age, no matter what you're doing, right now, Brendan, we all have these phones, and every single thing that we're talking about has an app.
Yeah.
And you can connect it to your bank accounts, start funding. Obviously, you're going to want to look into tax advantages. There's going to be different accounts you're going to be able to open up.
Like Puerto Rico.
Like in Puerto Rico, probably has different advantages opening things up down there, or even here in Canada, for example, we have different accounts. But yeah, you want to start it. It's very, very simple. There's not too many barriers to entry anymore. Easy. Find one that you like. Talk to people, right? Get on some message boards. Figure out which ones are stable. Talk to your bank.
Yeah.
You know, trust has to be there as well. You know, and a lot of these, there's insurances, backing, deposits that are going into accounts. So do your research, figure that all out. But if we're just starting with $5,000 or $10,000, those accounts are secure, covered. Make sure you get the right account, talk to your bank, figure that out, and then it's time to rock and roll. And I think once you're comfortable, you have everything set up, then you need to really start to think about, okay, what are my next steps? And I think that starts with developing a plan.
Yeah.
And you have to be disciplined.
Yeah.
We had some examples today of, you know, oh my God, this stock is falling down or that stock is falling down. These are opportunities. You want to wait for opportunities and then strike. You know, you don't have to be in the market every single day. Build a plan, look at it over time, and say, hey, this is an opportunity for me. This fits my risk profile.
You mentioned earlier the simple fact that this has to be looked at as a small business.
Mm-hmm.
You're starting a business, essentially, if you're starting to trade. And that's so key to have that mentality. And on that, let's maybe look at the other side of the equation here. There's a lot of people and a lot of discussions going on, again, over the past couple of weeks even, surrounding meme stocks.
Are we going to GameStop?
Yeah. We're going. Surrounding meme stocks and, I mean, the whole Reddit culture.
Yeah.
You know, everyone
the Reddit revolution, baby.
Everyone has a friend. Everyone, you know, you go to hockey, you go to baseball, whatever. You know, the friend who's playing with you is saying, "Oh, what about GameStop? Did you buy AMC?" Yeah. I think that's the last place that people should be approaching getting into the market, A, and B, trying to learn from.
It's funny you give this example because, so I coach Little League. My daughter goes to many hockey events throughout the week, you know, and people are starting to know what I do and everything. So they're always coming up to me.
Yeah.
They don't ask about Bitcoin when it's low. They ask about when it's high. They don't talk about GameStop when it's not moving. They talk about it when it's already up 400%. And they ask me, what are we going to do with all of this? Like, how do I get involved? This is FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. This is the opposite of what we're talking about, exactly what you just said. And you know where I actually direct them? I was like, well, you know what? There's this stock called Apple, which is really nice.
Yeah.
And it's just like, look, if you have the patience to sort of ride out some of these waves on some of these bigger stocks like a GameStop or an AMC or some of the ones that maybe potentially are more risky, then fine. I think there's strategies that are there. But if you're building a business, Brendan, the first thing you want to do, if you're opening up a restaurant, you want to make sure that you have good food, right? And so you give that to your significant other, you give it to family, and they tell you this is good. Then you start to open up maybe a smaller restaurant. Then you expand, and that's what investing is, and that's what this grind is all about. It's starting somewhere. Mm-hmm. And if you want to start with GameStop just to get your feet wet a little bit and make a little bit of money, I think that's actually fine.
Yeah.
But understand that we're trying to develop a business. And if you can invest in the proper tools and diversify, then the statistics are behind, it's tailwinds, not headwinds. Yeah. The problem with a GameStop is you're waiting on tweets, you're waiting on someone to report something.
It's not real.
Yeah, it's not based on company valuation. Yeah. So what you're trying to do is, it's like all of a sudden you have a business that only sells ice cream, but it's only warm 1 week of the year.
Right.
So you got to hit it at that time. And if you don't, then you miss it. And then it's like, okay, now what?
Yeah.
What we're trying to do is develop something that can be supported and funding your wealth and your freedom throughout the rest of your life. This is a lifelong journey.
That's repeatable.
That we're building.
I think that's the key. Something that you can continuously do.
There will be ups and downs. Yeah. But at the end of the day, we are instilling in ourselves that we expect that to happen.
Right.
We don't, when you're trading GameStop, you don't expect to lose half your money, but that is what's going to happen.
Tomorrow.
Right. That's not, Apple moves down or up 1%, you're still sleeping at night. Yeah. So you're developing a portfolio and a plan that will eventually either pay you through dividends or just through capital appreciation. And again, the market has returned 13% on average a year over the last 40 to 50 years. That is a number where if you can hold that true, do your research and believe in those numbers because they're statistically factual, then that should give you a little bit of glimmer that, hey, what I'm doing over time is going to work out. This is a business model that works. It's not the casino.
No.
You walk in the casino, you automatically lose. Honestly, you're going to have a lot of fun.
At some point,
you're going to have a lot of fun. And people listening to this and be like, hey, I just won $50. Fine, great. But you're going to go back. We know what's going to happen. You're going to go to that buffet. You're going to spend 20 of it. Then you're going to start to
20?
lose. I don't know.
Buffets are not $20.
Maybe they're free if you gamble enough. But the idea is eventually that they get their money,
Sure.
Steve went, this is not built on, their own money. It is, but then funneled through yours. Yeah. So the stock market, eventually the idea would be you're in it long enough and you're going to reap the rewards.
Let's give people a little bit of a look at who this is good for.
Mm-hmm.
What type of person are you? And then what type of person should be looking at doing this for a living? And what are the best characteristics of the people who do well in the market that can be applied across the board? Because let's face it, I remember when I started, dabbling in the market itself, it was because of another career. I have a broadcasting background.
You're kidding.
And no. So I was spending all day, every day on the radio talking about the market. And that was my exposure.
But you have a face for TV, Brent.
No, I don't.
Okay.
A voice for TV, a face for radio.
Right.
So that was my first exposure to the market. But what it did was showed me that there was something out there that I had more interest in than what I was doing currently. So I think a lot of people are in the situation where they might be stuck in a job, stuck in a career that they hate, but they don't even know what is out there and what opportunities are out there. So if I'm on the other side of this podcast, what can we tell these people as far as they are concerned that will help them in this?
So you've already your example was perfect, where you finally sat in front of a computer screen and you saw so many more opportunities, and you're like, I didn't realize that I could sort of buy and sell like this, and this is potentially something that I like to do that could, fund your career basically, and to switch from one to the other. Thing is that you have to be somewhat analytical, because you're going to have to look at numbers at some point and trust them. And so if you already, this is what, remember we said, get rid of that fear.
Yeah.
I think it's just, you have to trust what you see, because we're talking about real money and income that you've already earned that now you're trying to put to work. So I think you need to be analytical. I think you need to be disciplined and patient. And I know we could talk honestly for 30 minutes about each one of these trades.
Sure. And maybe we should at some point.
And I think I think we could. And, let us know in the comments. First of all, hit the like, subscribe. I mean, people, we haven't even said that yet.
Do it.
Do that immediately. Share it. But no, you need to be able to sit down there, understand what you're doing, and then I say this to everything. If you start something and you're not enjoying it, maybe dig a little bit deeper. Like, try to figure out, why exactly are you on this road? Why do you want to start to trade? Once you start to look at this and start to say, hey, look, I'm looking at past traders. We talk about being disciplined. Everyone says, oh, Warren Buffett, this and that. But honestly, buying high quality companies, sitting in them and trusting that their earnings power is going to grow over time, that kind of, trust, and getting rid of that fear and getting rid of that greed, that takes discipline, because you need to be able to stick with the plan moving forward, not get rattled if something changes in the stock market. You could have a move down in a week. That's fine. Are you losing so much money that you're now uncomfortable with it? Yeah. That's wrong.
That's the key.
That's the key. Yeah. So as you become more comfortable and you're adapting, there's another word for it. You have to be adaptable, because the market will change, but over time, it stays the same.
Yeah.
So you have to adapt your mindset to what's in front of you, but at the same time, be very disciplined to stay the course, right? And so it's just, until you try it, it's just one of those things where you're just going to be going back and forth. You got to sit there. It has to be for you. You wouldn't be here if you didn't see that passion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're never going to be successful unless you're passionate about something.
You have to try.
You have to go for it.
Yeah.
Like, again, someone sitting in their garage building up a website that eventually is going to sell every single thing in the world, like Amazon, it takes time to build that.
Yeah, it's a great example.
It takes many,
decades.
Like what, I'm buying a bookstore, and then turning it, so it's like that vision takes time.
Yeah.
And once you get it, then you got to stick with it, and you got to keep going and going and going. And then now we know Amazon is much bigger than that, with the streaming, with their AWS. So as you go on, your business evolves
and changes.
And that's that adaptability that I'm talking about. Because you'll go from, hey, look, I'm a trader who loves to trade this style, and I'm maybe more aggressive in the beginning, but then as I started to make some profits, I started to roll that into maybe slower growing names, dividend names, start investing, starting to build that portfolio up. But you can't experience that until you experience that.
Let's talk about fear. You mentioned fear at the beginning of this, and people need to get rid of that fear. So, like, what is, I mean, everybody understands what fear is, but in this case, I think people get over the ski tips, I think is how that saying goes, a little bit, and they get a little over anxious when they first begin, and they start throwing around amounts of money that at the end of the day, you said it, they're not comfortable with losing. And you have to understand, going into this, you need to set aside an amount of money that, let's be honest, you will most likely, to begin with, not see again. And even if it's only for a period of time, as you're building and building and building, you need to be comfortable, whether it's 2,000, 5,000, 10,000, whatever it is. Consider that amount, that initial amount, the amount, that you're comfortable in maybe never seeing again.
You never want to gamble with the capital that you've invested.
Yeah.
Right? You want to keep a piece in there and make sure that you set risk limits.
But this is where the fear aspect is.
Yeah, but if you set, for sure. And you can't, I don't know how you can, like I said, the only way to deal with fear, in my opinion, especially when we're talking about trading, is just by looking at the statistics and making sure that you have proper risk management in place.
But be honest, Sean, how many people are actually doing the work
that
you're talking about?
Look, all of us want to be self-employed at some point,
Exactly.
at least not work for somebody. You talked about,
Sure.
I don't want to listen to that boss. But the thing about when you're investing and you're trading, you don't have a boss other than yourself. You have to answer to yourself.
Yeah.
Why did I buy that stock? Why did I not stop out of that position? Why, when I heard that Apple's iPhone sales are down, why did I not sell this? Like, why did I hold on to it? There has to be rules in place so that you are comfortable with the result of your decision.
Yeah.
So I think that we have a huge advantage in what we're doing as traders, because we can say this: I'm going to buy $5,000 worth of Microsoft today. If it goes down against me 1%, I am going to get out of that trade. And you can exit out of it. And therefore, 1% on 5,000 is a much easier pill to swallow than, oh my God, why did I not get out of this? And now all of a sudden we're down 10% and I've just lost $500 instead of $50. Mm-hmm. So if you can have, again, multiple things happening, different decisions, but all being risk managed, then I feel like, we're playing a game that we can win, and it's been proven over time that you will win.
And that's the plan.
That's
right?
the plan.
We have to have. I mean, if you're starting a window washing business,
right?
You're not. Maybe you are just going to Canadian Tire, whatever home hardware store, Lowe's, Home Depot, whatever.
There's one called Home Depot that's quite large.
Yeah. Buying a squeegee and a bucket and going and knocking on doors. Cool. You made that conscious decision of
starting.
That's your plan. You're going to get those tools and get going. We have to do the same thing in this consideration. Let's broaden.
No, but I think it's like there. It's like you might go out and you might be looking for someone. It's 10 a.m. It's the perfect time to wash windows. So you're charging $50 an hour. Maybe you find a couple clients that are out there. Now all of a sudden you've got a little bit going on. But then right beside them, there's some places that also maybe don't want to pay 50. Maybe they want to pay 20 or 30. But because you're in the neighborhood, it's worth it for you to do that because you're right there.
Yeah.
So then again, look, your business is now growing because you're out there doing something about it.
Sure.
So to me, that's what trading's about.
Yeah.
We could sit there and look for all these different opportunities, and all of a sudden, bang, it smacks you in the face. This is what I should be doing. Mm-hmm. And then you get that passion flowing. And then no matter what you want to do, no matter what business you're trying to open up, you can become successful in it if you have discipline and risk management.
Anyone who's worked in sales ever.
Right.
One of the first things they teach you is it's a numbers game,
mm-hmm.
right? If I contact X,
and
then a percent of that gets back to me, how many can I convert on that number? Mm-hmm. And that's the real number. And then it's just a matter of expanding that initial contact list to get back more, to convert more sales. It's a plan.
It's like Tinder. Swipe. Yep.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
If you just swipe, I don't know which way it is. Hand to God, I've never downloaded that. But the thing is like, if you just swipe that same way, eventually someone's going to swipe that way as well.
Yeah.
And then you're going to connect, and then you don't know. You really don't know.
Yeah.
But if you don't take your shots,
you'll never know.
There's a couple of quotes in there. Yeah.
Young people that are coming out of school, out of the education system now, are in a position possibly where even if they went to university, college, whatever, for something in the finance field, they probably didn't learn much, if anything, about the stock market.
Well, they just learn what they want to teach you,
which is limiting.
Exactly.
And we'll get into that a bit. But if they're coming out of the end of that program thinking, I want to learn more about that because that was interesting to me, they've spoken to their friends, they've spoken to your people around them about Robinhood, about GameStop, about AMC.
Right.
They might be heading down a path that's not necessarily the correct one. On top of that, there's the pressure of this, and you touched on it from a cost of living standpoint, even here in this country. Mm. People come out of university with all kinds of student debt, are forced then to get the job, get the whatever rental apartment at this point because no one can afford an actual home anymore. And then they just snowball into this never-ending circle of, I have bills to pay, so I need a job. These are the type of people that we want to help and help understand that there's another side of the equation. There's another side of the world. You just have to take the time and set aside the time to educate yourself and move in that direction.
I mean, I went to university and graduated, but then started trading immediately upon graduation. So I didn't actually fall into that sort of trap of, hey, you can't follow something that you're passionate about. I interviewed for a job on a prop floor and immediately was like, okay, I kind of want to do this. I don't really know that much about it,
right?
But I felt passionate enough about it.
Right.
The problem with the current system is just exactly like you said. You're going through high school and all of a sudden it's like, oh, you know, what university are you going to? And all of a sudden now you got to think not only about everything that you're doing in high school, but now what path am I going on here? Am I going down one that they don't talk about enough, maybe the trades, or university, which is a little bit of a higher level, like you talked about getting a degree instead of working with your hands, you're going more white collar. And the idea here is that once you start to get funneled through, then yeah, you're taking on student loans, which we know we have to repay. And now all of a sudden, when you're done school, you have this 100,000, I don't know, how much debt do you have on board? And now you got to start paying that back. So that automatically starts to limit the amount of risk taking that you're willing to do. And I think that's a problem. The system is not set up for us to take risks immediately out of school. But if I'm listening to this and I am just graduating and I'm looking earlier stage in my life and I'm looking to do something, I think you throw that belief out the window and you go for it. You take a risk. We're during school, oh, I got this project due. It has to be due on this date or else I fail. That's fine. There's something about following rules. And you got to follow rules. Learn discipline, and I think that's what school teaches you. But at the end of the day, you're going to graduate with 1,000 other kids or peers that have the same degree as you, all looking to probably get in the same industry as you. Like, you know, you graduate with a finance degree. There's only so many places you can go. And then they teach you throughout university as well. Hey, you want to be an investment banker? Well, that's 70 hours a week. So they're already telling you that this is what you're going to have to do. But don't worry, after 5 or 6 years of this, then you'll eventually become that investment banker. You just got to work, you know, on pushing paper for a minute, and then eventually you'll get up there. That's fine if you want to do that. But ultimately, at the end of the day, you can take your own future into your own hands a lot earlier in life by simply educating yourselves on some of the opportunities that are out there. And I think the stock market and trading is just one of those opportunities. If you spend just as much time at looking, you know, what are some alternative ways of raising my wealth portfolio, I think you'd be able to find some good answers here. Why working for someone is fine. You need to pay the bills. Yeah. That's fine. But once those bills are paid, then we got to talk about taking some off the top. And what are we going to do with that? Yeah. And how can we get from where we are now to a spot that we want to be at, where we're not worried about going to work 9 to 5? How can we take that top end and put it into something that we believe in and that we're passionate about? And I think if you can find that, then you can win. So often when you're done school, you get in that zone. It's like, now I got to try to like build a family. I got to do this. I got to pay these bills. I got a credit card bill. I got to get a cell phone, all this kind of stuff. That's all cool and that's great. Do that stuff. But be thinking about more. Don't just be happy with where you're at. And I feel like that's what we're trying to do here.
Yeah. One of the hesitations that I find that when I talk to people that are outside of this world and you start asking them, you know, do you have investments?
Right.
What do those look like? Do you own your home? Things like that. One of the hesitations I find I get back most of the time is, oh, I don't have the money for that. I can't afford anything there and above, you know, paying my bill, as you just said. But I think it's important to tell people and to make the point of it doesn't take as much as people think to get started. And you know, you can literally take $100, open an investment account. And you had a great story about looking for things around you that you use on an ongoing basis frequently. Starbucks. You know, gas stations.
Yeah.
Telecom companies. Cell phone.
Right.
You know, things that are important to you that you pay them on an ongoing basis. How can we invest also in that company to benefit us?
Right.
You know, something as simple as that. take whatever you can, $100, $200, $500,
exactly what it is,
and start that way.
Yeah, I mean, instead of, look, we all want to buy nice things, all right? But maybe this year you don't buy that new iPhone and you just drop that $1,000 into an account and you buy Apple. Buy the stock and see what happens. It's a place to start. I actually started doing the same thing. When I first graduated and I got my first $1,000, I actually put it into Rogers, which is a communication business, like AT&T, Verizon.
T-Mobile, something like that.
Yeah, so, and you know what I thought? And I thought about this. At the time, it was like a 5 or 6% dividend. And I thought, okay, my cell phone bill is like $50 or $60 a month. So if I dropped in there $1,000, and it's not that much, $1,000, you put it in, you put it away. Not only do you get the capital appreciation, which is, for a stock like that, 7 to 10%, something like that on a utility. I don't want to get into too much detail, but the idea is you make about $100 just by holding the stock, and then the dividend itself, again, another 3 or 4, 5%. So then you're adding right there. You're getting paid every quarter. So it's not a whole lot of money, but $60 or $70 a year in a dividend.
Yeah.
Plus if the stock does well and the company does well, then you get that capital appreciation as well. So all of a sudden that cell phone bill that was $50 or $60 is now $35 because you're actually paying them with their own money.
Right.
So just little things like that. And then as that starts to work, you're talking to people and you get more ideas. And I was saying the story of, maybe don't go out and buy that $7 latte. Make yourself a coffee and put that money away. And buy Starbucks. Or buy McDonald's or just whatever. Put it in a 4 or 5% GIC. Like, trading doesn't need to be just buying stocks. And I know we're not going to dig too deep into this.
Yeah.
But portfolio management's important. And you can just diversify.
Yeah.
But I think that's where it comes starting. We can't just be a consumption nation. We have to start to save. And some of the stats, there's a lot of people out there that just have a month of savings or something like that in there.
Or less.
So we understand that we're not starting from a point of wealth, but you have to start somewhere. And I think if you can start to figure out where can I cut back in order to start to build my wealth plan and my freedom plan, that's where it starts. But you have to start today. We often equate these things to healthy lifestyles. You want to get rid of, Brendan, unhealthy habits and start doing healthy habits.
Right.
Get yourself in the right mindset. Right? Like we're able to sit here, enjoy ourselves, have a good time doing this. But we have a plan, that we're instituting pretty much every day. We talked about it many times. Buying different ETFs, buying into the stock market every month, letting it grow. Building our portfolio up. Maybe not checking it every day, checking it every week, because that's what we're concerned with. Get rid of that fear and get rid of that greed and start doing something today. Because if you don't start today, then when are you going to start?
Yeah.
I really want to go on that diet, but damn, that apple fritter looks nice. Do you have the discipline, Brendan? You asked about traits. Do you have discipline to say no to something and yes to something else? When it's so easy to say yes to that thing that's sitting there, and so hard to say getting on that bike or doing something, but you have to do the right things and you have to continuously do them.
Yeah.
Let other people make the mistake. You can make mistakes, but don't be lazy. So many people are lazy.
Yeah.
They just go.
They want the quick fix. They want the AMC. They want the GME.
Right.
They want to get rich
or they just
overnight.
They want someone else to do it for them.
Yeah.
We can do this. We can do this.
Sure. That just reminded me. I read a book earlier this year that sticks with me every single day, and I see it every single day. And it was a book called Do Hard Things. And what you're describing is exactly that, to a point where I've made a lot of changes in my life this year specifically, and part of it was because of what I read in that book. And part of it was just simply to see if I could.
Right.
Just to challenge myself to see if I could. But what it does, and the overall message of the book is, if you build these calluses doing things that maybe, a month ago, 6 months ago, whatever, you would never even have thought you could have.
They become part of your DNA.
If you slowly start to build those calluses, other things start to appear less challenging. And you're actually building confidence and building that belief in yourself
right,
by doing these things on a day in and day out basis that you know, something that you might have never thought
Like
you
6
would
months
touch
ago,
before.
there's no way I have enough energy to do that.
Now you're like, huh,
You're
maybe
like,
I can.
That's no problem. Like, I'm not getting up at 5 o'clock, but now it's like 5 o'clock seems fine.
Exactly. 4:40
4:40. Stay tuned.
every day.
Not me. but that's the thing, right?
But from an investment standpoint, it's the same thing in that if I'm afraid of, you know, that $500, if you break it down to a level where it's, hey, I go to Starbucks every day and spend $7, maybe that $7 would be better in my bank account.
You want to go after this?
Sure. Making money for me
Right.
on an investment side. Something like that is
making the change,
fearful.
right? It's making the change. And I think if we just rewind this literally a half hour and you asked me and I said fear and greed, you got to get rid of both of those things. And I think once you become realistic with expectations and what you're trying to do, we can do hard things. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
You know, you're not.
And we should. I think that's the message. Like, we should be doing.
Like, here's another example that I'm thinking about this more and more now. You know, I just walked by the convenience store, you know, and it's flashing there 70 million with 24 $1 million winners. So you know what I think? Oh, here's $10. And I didn't do it. Here's $10. I'm just going to throw it in there because what if I win?
Wait, the lottery's $10 now?
No, it's $5 a ticket, but you, I don't know, you get 3 lines. We're getting derailed here. But the idea is, my bread at $1. Does that make you feel better?
I think the last time I bought a lottery ticket,
it's 5. I think the minimum I think is 5.
It might have been 5.
For running the numbers.
Anyway.
Yeah. So, long story short is like, we want to get rid. Like, I'm willing to spend $10 on something that I know I basically have 0% chance of winning.
Yeah.
But because it's easy,
I'll do it.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, here's $10. Here you go.
And people justify that by saying it's fun.
And it's because, And when do I do it? Only when those numbers are huge. Do my odds get any better? No.
Actually get worse, probably.
No. You know, but at the same time, I see that number. It's like, oh, wow, I'd love to win that 70 million. Then I'd be set for life.
Yeah.
But if I just sort of thought about this, you know, 30 years ago, then I'd have $10 times however many times I've done that, numerous times a year, all rolled into one, compounded, so on and so forth. Now what?
Yeah.
And maybe, you know, that's an example where it's only $10. It doesn't really matter. But at the end of the day, when you start investing and you start trying to think about how can I make this happen, it has to start. And it is a hard thing to give things up. But if that's where you need to get the income to do this, then that's what you have to do. And I just think it's worth doing it. Start now.
And don't go buy a $10 lottery ticket. What's your
I don't mind buying a
opinion on
lottery? Well, they say it's a tax for the
poor. Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, or stupid, I was going to say. But the thing is like, you know what? I don't know. So I feel like, and I know this is Freedom and Wealth podcast, but you do have to have some discretionary income. That's why I was saying like $10.
Of course.
I mean, some people are going there dropping hundreds of dollars on lottery.
Yeah.
Like, there are some people that, you know, the wife and I talk all the time, shout out to Marissa, but we always say, like, why is this person, and she even says it too. It's like someone will complain to her about not having enough money to buy groceries or whatever, but yet they're going out and buying that and grabbing that Frappuccino for 6 or 7. Seriously.
Yeah.
You know, or they're just taking Ubers everywhere.
And it's gotten to a point, and I've noticed this as well. It's gotten to a point in our society where that is so normal and so accepted,
right,
that people just have checked out from even understanding what the value of those
it's ridiculous
occurrences over and over and over.
So my son at university right now, I just saw, I woke up, so he asked me last night, he's like, something's happened, his bank account's frozen or whatever, for some reason he deposited a check that didn't work out, I don't think. So anyways, at the end of the day, he messages me and goes, hey, look, I need to, because he has my credit card numbers, and they're pretty dangerous probably. He's like, I need to use Uber to get to work because normally I use it through, but this guy's at school, you know? And so I was like, okay, fine. He's like, I'll send you the money, blah, blah, blah. It was $30.
Right.
You know, still kind of expensive actually, now that I think about it. But then I woke up this morning and at 1:30 again, a note on my phone, another $36 going through on Uber again. So now all of a sudden, that's now $70 for him to get to and from work. So he's building something, but I'm just thinking to myself, if he was working somewhere and he just spent $70 for 6 or 7 hours, because, you know, like I spoke to the guy at 5 or 6 at night. That's when he went. And then it was 1 or 2 in the morning. he's just going, it's an office job,
Right.
but he's going back and forth. But I'm just thinking, like, that's $70. Like, if we had planned this out a little bit better, potentially maybe he could have got a ride with somebody. He could have taken public transportation. He could have got this figured out.
Yeah.
But instead, like you said, it's ingrained to him that it's just so easy
to
run this app. So I messaged him this morning. I'm like, bro, this is getting expensive. Like, if you do this 2 or 3 times a week, now you're talking about hundreds, Brendan.
Yeah.
It's easy when it's $30 here or there. I can do that. But then when you look back at the end of the month and you see this expense, Uber, or whatever it is, McDonald's, Starbucks, anything like that, and you say, why did we do that? It was more convenient.
We are going to, this is only beginning. We're going to dive deep in.
This is fun. We can just go on and on.
A ton of investment type topics. Leave comments below. Tell us what you want to hear about.
Yeah, what did you like?
Tell us what you like. Tell us what you don't like. I mean, we've changed this 4 times already. We can change it again.
Yeah, no, don't give any comments about the room, please.
No,
I do not want to change it again.
We're thinking a sign.
A sign, yeah.
I think a sign.
I was thinking about shelves, and then we just put, like, cool things on the shelf.
I think like a neon.
I like the neon idea, but
I don't know what it would say.
I don't know if they'll. Yeah, will that be visually?
F and W? I don't know.
No, A and W?
F.
Oh,
freedom and wealth. Come on, man.
Yeah, I got it.
All right. Episode 1 in the books.
I still like the little knicknacks we put on. All right, are we doing the fist bump?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Episode 1. Come back, join us. In a week's time, we'll have more goodies for you from our brand new home.
Yeah, every week we're dropping this.
Yeah, weekly.
Subscribe immediately.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.